You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode 167, and yes, you get Dave for 2 weeks, then you get me, but you'll never get us together for some friggin' reason. I never know why, but we got a beauty show for you tonight with Shawn Stahl and Brian Ellithorpe coming to us from the great state of Michigan and Ohio, respectively. I do before, hey, Shawn,
guess who's on top? Michigan.
Yeah, guess who's Michigan.
I'm not even a Wolverine fan. I decided to do that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Get a dig in. I do have to throw a little bit of love your way, Shawn, because I'm telling you, your Red Wings are playing better than I thought. And then today they go out and sign Patrick Kane. And
yeah,
I'm just
they called up Johnny Burgers. Larkin's gone for a couple games. Yep.
Jesus. I think they're going to be.
They play the Rangers tomorrow, and then Chicago next night.
So that should be two. That should be 2 wins for them. Now I got to worry about Detroit in my fucking conference. I'm not too happy.
Your boys ought to throw down the last night. Pretty good.
The Senators.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
That was but that was like the Kachucks, like those two brothers, like they're the two biggest, like they're just two assholes, right? And they don't care that they're brothers. They're just, that's just who, and their dad.
Everybody wants them on their team, though. You don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Brian, I know Ohio doesn't have a hockey team, but I'm just assuming that the Bengals fans.
They have one, but they.
Yeah, they had one. But
the
Bengals fans must be fucking losing their mind with Burrow gone. Like, I think he's gone for the season, isn't he?
I have no idea. I don't follow anything.
Follow the Neelers.
Okay. All right, we got that out of the way. Shawn got his dig in at Brian because he's on top.
Wait a minute, were you a Bombers fan or an LOS?
I'm not a big CFL guy, to be honest with you. No, I'm not a big CFL, and that's horrible to say because I'm Canadian, but I'd much rather watch NFL. I don't know. I just drank the Kool-Aid, I guess. But the rules in the NFL are simpler than what they are in the CFL. CFL's got some wonky rules. But whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still listening, please hit the subscribe button, however you're listening to us on podcasts or if you're watching us on YouTube. Really appreciate it. And at the same time, go check out both of Shawn and Brian's social media. So Brian Ellithorpe, God, he's been on the show a bunch of times, and so is Shawn. So you should know what his social media is. He's on TikTok, Instagram. Your TikTok videos are pretty good, I gotta say. I don't know where you find those backing tracks because some of them are fucking hilarious.
It's that cap cut template thing. I just find the dumbest shit that I can put on there, and
it's fucking funny, man. Some of it's pretty.
I mean, like, I don't take it too seriously, but it's just kind of funny to mess with it and see, like, some of them will get 60,000 views and some of them get 100. And it's like, it's just fun to mess with and just see what people like, I guess, for 7 seconds of a video.
Yeah. And I also got to throw this out there, just because Shawn's on the show here, and I know Shawn was trying real hard to get up to Canada for the refuge, and Canada's just being ridiculous and letting Americans come up and take part in the Toronto Sportsman Show. So I do have to get a big little shout out to Traeger Grills, who just confirmed this week that they're going to be in the refuge. So, in case you missed it on her, yeah. So that's a big one for us. But it's easy for Traeger because they have distribution here, right? So they don't have to drag all the stuff across the border like you would have had to, Shawn. So it's a little bit easier for them. But anybody from the government of Canada that's listening, you're fucking killing me with all these rules, and I'm trying to bring fellas in to try and make a good show. So do something about it, politicians, for fuck's sake. But boys, long-winded, let's get into it, man. I got to tell you, to watch or to get the text that I was getting from Ellithorpe this fall when you two were out running around gallivanting all over fucking Hell's Half Acre. I got to tell you, you guys look like you were having a good time, even though it was probably 2 weeks. Yeah, the hunting sucked.
Yeah, Shawn let me know a few times while we were traveling that I ended up on probably 2 of the worst trips that he's had. So
he might just give you a black cat. We're gonna find this out because he's not going. We're leaving here this week here, so we're gonna find out if he's a black cat or not.
He could be the jinx, eh?
It could be. Definitely could be.
Yeah.
And
I'm holding his waiters hostage in the meantime.
I left my Crocs in his truck the first trip, and I left my waders in the back of his truck the second trip. So I keep trying to leave something with him, and
that's old school fucking when you were trying to hook up with a chick, right? You'd always leave something behind so you had a reason to go back. Yeah. Hey, be careful, Shawn. You might have a bit of a fucking stalker on your hands now.
He did leave me with his cold too on this last trip.
Wow.
Yeah, that was brutal.
So the weather was shit, eh? Like just birds not moving, just no birds around.
It's been horrible, like up until last week. Most of Saskatchewan, the big water was open up until like just before our Thanksgiving here in the States.
Yeah.
Completely wide open, not a lot of snow, if any, and birds strung out everywhere. And then all of a sudden we got this big cold snap. So hopefully we're hitting this deal right, getting ready to get out of town here and getting after it. I'm still trying to decide. I'm 50-50 on hooking up the boat or hooking up the trailer. So I'm still kind of
I don't know, man. Like, well, you showed the picture of what it is in Michigan right now. Like that's 6 inches of snow down. We've got a cold here in the Kingston area, but we haven't seen any snow yet. So
I can send you some.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like you got to think by now, winter's here now, right? Like the cold is in now. Like we shouldn't see any real warm weather now.
Yeah, look at the last few years.
I know.
But we've been in a pattern here where at least it'll get cold, we'll get a bunch of snow, and then it'll warm up for 2 weeks. And then it'll get cold, we'll get a bunch of snow, and it warms up for 2 weeks. Like last year, the guys didn't even get on the ice maybe half a dozen times here last year. And
no, fair. Good point.
When I was a kid, first week of December to first week of March, you were on the ice. Now, it's into January. I normally snow, and last year it was only 5 or 6 times we got on the ice. So, it's just things are changing for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a cycle we're in. Yeah.
What about down your way now, Brian? Like down on Erie? Like, you're on Erie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cold. I mean, it was 23 today, and it's super windy. It's freezing up all the marshes, but it looks like for the next 5 days, at least, it's going to stay below freezing. But after that, it could be the same thing. Like last year, we had a huge cold snap like this where high wind froze up everything, froze up part of the lake. And then 2 weeks later, it was 45 degrees and it just kept everything stale. And, we hunted last weekend and it's been warm here for 3 weeks or something, same temperature and not much wind. It just hasn't moved anything really around. So the birds seem super stale. My buddy went out today and he said there's just like no divers. We saw probably 15,000 divers on Saturday. And he's like, we saw one group.
Really?
And then they shot puddle ducks in the same spots that we always shoot divers. So
Wow.
it's moved something around, and we'll see what happens in the next few days. So I'll be out tomorrow morning and Thursday morning. So
I got a message from a buddy of mine today. He was into the Bluebills on the weekend, and he said they got just him and a buddy. They got 31 him and a couple dudes. They got 31 Bluebills.
Sounds like
Yeah.
so we need
Yeah.
16 people for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's that? That would have been 6 of them. He said it was him and a bunch of the boys. So they got 31 Bluebills on just last weekend. So like we're seeing the divers, and I've seen obviously in the water where you can't shoot them in and around the town. I'm seeing the greenheads, but geese are pretty much. I haven't seen much geese flying around. They're not. I think they're gone. I could be wrong. Somebody could.
Yeah, but we always hold a bunch of geese, so we're still seeing geese. We've seen more black ducks right now. We had a push of cans for like 3 days, which normally we don't get until like real late in the season, if not like late goose season. So it seemed like we were on a good path there for a minute. Like at the beginning of the season, it was cold. We got a real good push of divers. We got a huge push of bluebills. There was some scoters flying through, some cans, and then all of a sudden it's just like they got stale in the last couple of days. They must have got pushed out, and we'll see if anything else gets pushed down to us. But who knows? Hopefully it stays cold.
Where are you headed to now this week, Shawn? Like, are you going out of state?
Yeah. Going south.
Okay.
Thought about going to North Dakota. Probably going to start going west and then work south.
Okay.
Just going to go on a road trip. I'm still undecided right now. I got this thing in my head where I want to go boat hunting. I really need to go get a couple more goose hunts, but the boat's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Brian and I did that on the Mississippi River last week, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunting wasn't spectacular. Hunting's been rough, man, for everybody. Other than our boy Davey over there at St. Lawrence Outfitters, I don't know anybody that's been consistent at all anywhere this year. It's been tough, whether you're in North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, even the guys in Arkansas, everywhere in between. It's just been
Davey
off.
and the boys got into snow geese last weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been there for a little while. The snows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea, to be honest with you. I had no idea that they were into the snows until a friend of ours posted a picture and they were into them. So it was pretty good. So yeah, Dave's got that area locked down too, right? Like he's got so much opportunity. He's just got it locked down, and it's a lot of hard work on his guides, but they usually put you on. But put you on the birds.
It's just been one of them seasons where you get them. Let's say I was talking to Luke at Wingfeather, and you're getting them, but man, it's nothing's been a layout. It's work, and you scout a field, you show up, and they go water to water that next day, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's gonna, cloudy and windy, and they go water to water, or they swap fields.
Yeah,
stuff like that. All year it's been unexplainable, but it's been fun. I mean, the hunting season's always fun. I always have fun, enjoy the camaraderie. I mean, Brian's seen that with guys. We have fun no matter where we go. But man, the hunting's just it's been a struggle. We're getting them, but it's been tough.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like at some one side of it, you're sort of like, well, making it challenging, and some maybe you gotta reinvent the wheel on how you attack these things. But then at the same time, it could get pretty frustrating, especially when you're on the road and you're driving and trying to find the hunts, especially when you're on the road and you're trying to capture content and the whole bit when you're on a time schedule, right? Like it just ups the pressure a little bit more. Not that there's a ton of pressure, but it ups it a little bit more, right?
But the story isn't in the pile, though. That's what I keep trying to drive home. The story isn't in the pile, and everybody struggles. Everybody, there's a story in that struggle that people want to see and how you react, and they want to know that And just because we do this for a living and we do it for TV doesn't mean every hunt's a layup, you know.
That's right. Well, I had Rusty Heron on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the pile picks and people putting, and I'm not here to tell you that, you know, smiles over piles or any of those catchphrases, because listen, I want to stack up birds every time I go out, 100%. But when it comes to social media now and showcasing what you're doing, and I think this is where your brain is kind of at, Shawn, and correct me if I'm wrong, but instead of just throwing up that picture of a pile of dead birds, the story behind getting that pile of dead birds is worth way more than what that picture will ever, because that picture will never do the story justice in my opinion.
No, but social media seems to like the pile pictures.
Yeah.
But I've always said piles don't make smiles.
No.
And some of the biggest piles we've made, I don't remember them hunts as much as I remember the struggle buses that we've been on.
Yeah.
You know, the struggle bus we were just on, we went to Fergus Falls like 5 years ago to the day when we were out there. We were hunting on ice. Literally had decoys set up on ice and calling them in to the ice and shooting. This time it was, what was it, mid-60s, 2 or 3 days in a row?
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty much every day it was mid-60s.
We're out there. I mean, we're hunting ponds. We're hunting like early season type stuff in November. And, you know, we shot 15 to 20 birds a day for the 2 of the days that we really hunted.
Yeah.
Fergus. And that was a success. I mean, there's only 4 of us shooting. But irregardless, I considered that a success and a win, you know. We look at the victories in that aspect, and I don't like posting pile pictures very much. I do occasionally, but by and large, I just like to do other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not. It's weird, when you start talking about this stuff, because I don't want to sound like I'm a hypocrite either, or I'm throwing shade to anybody. There's nothing wrong with the pile picks. It's just over the years, I've seen so many. I'm more interested in the story of how you got the pile. Like, don't just. I guess what I'm getting at is, I'd much rather read the caption of, listen, we drove 50 miles, truck broke down, had to change a flat tire on the road, got there just before legal, we were setting up, birds were working. Like, that's the sort of thing I like, because that's what happens. Because hardly ever does it go perfect for you, right? And it's great to see the picture of big pile of dead birds, but I like the story behind it. I've seen enough pile pics now. I want to know how much you cursed and swore, trying to get ready. That's what I want to. Because that's yeah.
Well, yeah, Brian probably learned that in the last couple of trips. Is that the group that we run with, we have zero tolerance for pile pictures at the end. It's pick up and go. I think, you know, and I think what it comes down to is, you know, it's not so much that, you know, the pile is the victory, it's the winning. It's the group of guys that I run with. We hate losing more than we like winning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we
get you.
take the defeats worse than we take the victory, you know, more than we relish the victory. And that's just kind of what, I'm kind of an odd apple, I guess, in that respect. But yeah, I get, if we get our butts kicked, man, I'll think about it all night. I won't sleep. I'll scout and I'll look and I'll watch and I'll figure out how to make the next one better. What we do wrong here and what can we do better here? We got to camouflage more. We got to hide that camera guy because he's flaring birds, you know. Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
As opposed to just taking a pile picture at the end. I'm not about flying victory as much as I am about to figure out what we could do better.
Yeah, and I think
that's too. It was like we were trying to pack up and then go scout right away. It was like, you know, we hit this pond and, you know, we shot, you know, whatever it was, 18, 20 birds or whatever, shot a band, shot a couple of shovelers, which Shawn was stoked about. And then we walked out, and it's like, well, we got to go find something for tomorrow because we could see the birds moving and we weren't under them. And, it's like if we can get under them, we can make something happen. So it's like, we pack up quick. Don't, throw all the birds in the trailer. We'll clean them later, but we got to go eat something, scout, figure out what we're going to do the next day. And that's, part of that story is like, we can consider that a win, and we got a lot of good footage. We got a lot of good pictures and everything. But now we got to move on to the next thing. We're 15 hours from home. It wasn't just like we drove down the road. Like, we've got to make something happen.
Yeah.
So, that's that part of the story is, for me, I think is super cool because it wasn't like, you see the videos and the stuff, the TV shows, episodes on TV. And it's like, I think everybody just assumes that people that do this for a living show up and they just smash birds every single time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so
you do when you're not there, Brian.
Everybody else does except when they're with me. And so it's like, hilarious. It's cool to show that side of it and be like, have this conversation and say, it's just not how it goes every single time.
Yeah. I don't want to pump Shawn's tires too much here, but Brian,
but Brian, he doesn't like it.
No, but Brian, like you've been a fan for a long time, right? Like you watched all Shawn's DVDs. You've been following them for so long, and a big fan of Tangle Free and the whole bit. And now, and you sort of kind of alluded to it just then, right? Because you're following, you were with them, following them around and starting to learn, had a great hunt, but no time for glory shots or nothing like that. We got to eat and get on the go and find the next one. You know what, right. that experience now, and I'm not saying that you never had experiences like that before, but I would think it's on a different level now, being with a crew that's, we've got a week. We're on the road for a week. We've got to get this, and this. We need the footage, we need the content, and we got to get the birds, right? So that must have been a new experience for you.
Oh yeah, because I mean, when I go out and I film my own stuff, it's my backyard. Like it's with GoPros, it's not like I'm set up. Like I didn't have a gun, so it's like I have my camera. Shawn tells me what we're looking for, when we're on the trip, and I'm doing my best to get everything that we possibly can. Right. And, it's just cool to see the kind of be part of the behind the scenes part of see everything unfold. And, Shawn's been doing it for so long. He probably doesn't even realize half the stuff that's going on, that like somebody like me, sitting there seeing all of this stuff, the scouting, we're, like I said, we're in Minnesota, and it's like, Shawn doesn't do anything different as he goes place to place. It's the same mindset that you have for scouting anywhere. Mm-hmm. And, you pick up stuff as you're sitting in a truck with him for whatever it was, 100 hours, it seemed like, for 2 trips. And it's like, there's not a magic pill to whatever success you have, especially like when you're traveling across the country. Like he's doing the same thing that he's always done. And the 2 days in Minnesota, for example, that we were successful, it was the same, he did the same thing. Yeah. It was, we drive around, you scout, you look for the birds, you find the birds, mark a pin, then we send Phil in to get permission. We had 2 guides tell us that we weren't going to get permission on this pond that was holding, what was it, 1,500 birds or something? Yeah. And 2 people told us, oh, that's so-and-so's pond, they'll never give you permission on it. Oh, that's so-and-so's field, they'll never give you permission on it. Phil goes to both places. Phil and Marty go to both places and get permission at both spots. And it's just like, that's part of your crew. You build this crew up, make sure that you to be successful. And it's just super cool to see that side of it and be part of it.
Yeah, I bet.
Right. It's a process, and you perfect it through the years. You know what everybody's got to roll. Everybody knows what they're good at, and you stick to the deal, and you don't, there's times when things don't go right, people get mad, start cussing, and people try to step out of line and out of bounds, but and we just air our stuff, and then everybody falls back into place. And if you just stay the course and
Yeah.
stay the process, you can, you're going to be successful day in and day out. And one of the biggest things when you go to a new area is local knowledge. You got to know, like you go out to Western Minnesota and they farm dirt out there. I mean, there's farmers, I think, that they're bored and they just make more dirt.
Yeah.
And there's a different way of hunting out there and a different way of hiding. Same thing when you go out to Davies out there in St. Lawrence Outfitters. It's just a different way of doing things, and you got to get in tune with that.
Yep.
And listen to them, listen to what's working for them, and then apply your knowledge to it to try to melt everything together to get what you need.
Shawn, and this probably goes without saying, but when you say there's a process and trust a process and you just put in the work and all that stuff.
Sounds like hockey stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Trust
it do.
Put in the work. Yeah,
you've made mistakes, right? Like you've learned from your mistakes. Like this all didn't. We
still make mistakes. We're still making.
Of course.
Yeah.
It just I think,
and I guess that's part of the. It's not so much winning. It's hating to lose, the fear of losing, and that's why when a hunt's over and we shoot a limit, we're not high-fiving each other. That's the sad part in a way. And people like when Brian comes and they see this, they're like, "Oh wow, that was awesome." Or, we take a person that doesn't hunt very much and they go on a hunt and they're like, we shoot a limit and we're all like, "Man, we should have done this. We should have, this and that." And they're like, "Oh my God, that was the best hunt I've ever had in my life."
Yeah.
But we're always trying to figure out what we can do better. And there's not a hunt that I go on that I don't make at least one mistake. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. And now, and reverse, for Brian coming, hanging out with you and he got to see a different side of things and stuff. For you and your crew, like that, now you're bringing Brian out, which is a new guy that you're adding to your crew, right? So a new guy that sort of kind of got to learn what everybody else's role is within the team and stuff like that. So how did I know you're not gonna badmouth him or anything like that because he's right here and we can save that for offline. But I
know where you're going. We're such a tight knit group of guys. And everybody has a kind of a defined role and they know what they're doing, and it's a tough group to fit into, and not everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian was fine. Everybody, he got the thumbs up. So we don't have to hit the ignore button on the phone call. No, it was fine.
No, but it's good though, and the thing is, Brian, and I keep coming back to it, is because and I've done it and you've done it and so has everybody else that have watched these shows and watched these videos and stuff, and for us that have been, trying to chase these birds for so long as that we have, we know that when we watch that video that, well, hey, listen, it's not always a slam dunk, right? Like there's a lot of work that goes into it, but now you were there and you actually got to see that side of Shawn where, and Shawn, you can call it whatever you want.
He didn't see me throw anything or have it come apart.
No, but at the end of the day,
I'll have those on occasion.
but when you say things like, I hate losing more than anything, right? Like that's just a competitiveness in you, right? To just not want to fail. And that's and you want to apply that to a hockey sense and to a world that I understand. That's what makes the great ones great, is because they don't
it's
accept
also knowing I'm not saying it's knowing when to coast, but it's knowing when to apply the effort and when to
absolutely
just chill out. And I've probably learned that more in the last couple of years of don't force it, like the Minnesota deal, don't force it. Or the Wisconsin deal on the water, don't force it. It's not going to happen. I mean, no matter what you try to do, the birds aren't there. They're not moving. So
right.
Don't force it. Embrace what you're there for. Pick things out, like getting the photos that he was talking about. Get that stuff, knock out a few tips and that kind of stuff. Be productive where you're there, but don't force the,
Right.
you know, and save some of that hatred or, you know, hatred
Yeah.
for losing. For
That
the
piss
next
and
game
vinegar. Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, that piss and vinegar, because that's what keeps you going, right? Because and ultimately that's what it is. When you get your ass kicked, because it's easy when you get your ass kicked to just say, well, you know what, there's no birds in the area, it's just well to pack up and go home. Like that's the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is wake up again at 4 a.m. and go do the exact same thing all over again, hoping for a different result, right? So
Yeah, but you don't know unless you don't know if you don't go. You
Yeah.
know, the thing, you can pick up a bunch of birds overnight. And
Oh
things
yeah,
can-
absolutely. And yeah, as fast as you can lose them overnight, you can bring them in overnight too.
That's
right?
what happened in Fergus that first day. We get there and we got there like late that Sunday evening and didn't have time to scout really. Phil got there and he, you know, seen some birds and relayed them to our buddy that has a bunch of property up there and pits and stuff on it. And we're like, yeah, let's just go hunt one of his pits. He's got a permanent spread on it. We'll hunt it for a couple hours, just check it out, see what's going on in the area, and then go scout. Find something for a couple days. Kind of burn a day, but not really. You know, we'll get some pictures, get a few video clips for you know, social media and whatnot. I was watching these birds and everything was flying north to south. Little birds, medium sized birds, north to south. And I got on the phone, I was like, I think your birds are leaving.
Yeah.
And that's what was going on. We show up and the birds leave. And, you know, but just as sure as anything, you know, some new birds came in over, you know, in the next couple of days at night. They were the bigger birds. That kind of helped us out, you know, in the water.
So and like fuck, it's always a crapshoot and trying to figure out what the reason is, but like what was it? Was it cold weather pushing them out of there? Was there no food? Like what hunting?
There's a big wind there. There was a cool down coming and a big wind. Was coming, and it's time for them to leave. You're talking about the lessers and the EPP birds.
Yeah,
they were about 2-3 weeks overdue leaving anyway. It was time for them to go, and they finally hit the right wind. I mean, you could see it on the Windy app. You could see it coming, and when they were, we were chasing that. We just kept waiting for that northeast wind. It was supposed to be there on Tuesday, then on Wednesday, then on Thursday. And we were leaving Thursday, and then it got there at like 1 o'clock. You know, but you know, kind of is what it is, kind of deal.
Is that so? Here's a question for you, Shawn. Like when you're planning your trips, and so like you're in Michigan and you're going to head to Wisconsin and Minnesota. How can I? You're not just haphazardly like one morning waking up and going, I think we'll go to Minnesota next week. Like, are you?
So kind of yes, kind of no. So, you know, early on, September, early October, you know, you can go to them because they're migrating, they're coming down. You can go to them. You can get on the first moon of the year, the harvest moon. You can get on that. It's no problem. The next couple moons, you kind of want to stay off of a little bit because they feed. A lot of times they'll, especially you get in that late part of October, first half to maybe all of November, they get kind of stale. The weather pattern just kind of settles in. They get kind of stale. They might not feed every morning. They might feed in the afternoons. They might fly at like right at shooting time. You might have 10 minutes to try to shoot in the afternoon, and that's it. So that late October, November time frame is tough. It's just tough. And I try to stay off the moon, off the full moon. And then try to pick spots that traditionally you would think would be good. It's not for me, from my perspective. I don't have a full-time camera guy that is sitting here, you know, working at the house with me. And hey, you know, there's north wind. We need to be in North Dakota tomorrow. Right. I don't have that opportunity, so I got to kind of look and plan out things. And sometimes we hit it right, sometimes we don't, timing wise. And then late season stuff starts to line up a little better. You can go down south and get on them when they're in the winter area. So yeah, we don't just take off haphazardly. There's some things we try to do, but in one sense, we do kind of try to plan ahead a little bit, and then hope the weather, is good, and then maybe have a backup. But if I tell you I'm coming to Kingston in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
You're going to plan for that. You're going to have buddies, looking around.
Yep.
You're going to be looking
That's right.
around. So we got a day or so, to hunt, and then hit the road scout and all that. So I don't like to tell you that and then tell Brian, hey man, we're hitting the road in 2 weeks. Be ready, in Ohio, and then tell somebody else to do that out in Missouri, and then pick the person and go to them. I just don't think that's kind of shitting on people. So, so I'll go somewhere and we'll make the best out of what we can, and that's kind of what we did when we went to Minnesota. We did the best we could, in the conditions that we had, and hopefully that shows in the footage, and that we had a good time. We worked hard, and we shot some birds, and we laughed a lot, made some new friends. Got Brian in front of the crew, a few more guys in the crew, and got out there, and we got some more experience under our belt working together. So that was like the first trip that we went on. I didn't really plan on shooting a bunch of stuff. We were hunting Michigan birds. They were going to be tough. I know we were going to go over St. Clair, and I knew that was going to be a crapshoot. There was going to be a pile of birds out there and people, but that was more just a dry run kind of deal. Like, let's get together. Let's get to know each other. Let's see how everybody meshes, how everybody fits in, understand how everything works.
Yeah. And dynamic.
And do that before we go on any kind of bigger trip. So now I think, each one from here on out is good. Not that any one of them were hard, but we just kind of know expectations. It's like, like our crew, we roll into town, we drop the doors in the trailer, everybody knows what to do, and they don't even hardly say a word.
Right.
Everybody knows what job's going on. So, but yeah, so
like a well-oiled machine. So Brian, so I'm assuming now, like with all the content and everything that you've gathered over the season, like traveling around with the boys, so you're in charge of all the editing, all of that. No, you're just
no. So I dump all that to Shawn, and they've got somebody takes care of that. The photos I've edited photos for Shawn. Yeah. I just started editing some today too, but I also gave him the raw files of those photos too. So if somebody wants to do their own thing, they can. I've just been kind of piecemealing some of them together and shooting them over to them. And, if people want to use them, they can. If not, they can edit them however they want. But it's a lot of the photos are focused on the sponsors of the show, Shawn, Carl, stuff that he can use for social media, but then also the companies can use. And tried to get a lot of stuff of the new Quackhead calls, the Shawn Stahl's calls of him blowing that, so that he has stuff that they can use on RNT's social media as well. Right.
It seemed, and I think it's as much as there's new hunters coming out, and there's always seems to be some new people on the block, but then this whole photography, videography game, like that seems to be, there's always somebody else new jumping in and trying to make their way, and it's got to be, like, as hard as it is to make a living chasing geese, Shawn, it's got to be even harder to make a living as a photographer or a video guy in this, right? Because I couldn't imagine if that was your gig, and then waiting for a chance to be able to, or to get a call to travel around with a crew and hone your skills and be able to show off what you can do, and then be welcomed in the whole bit, and then hopefully and I'm not putting words in Shawn's mouth, but hopefully be invited back again next year, right? So it's a hard thing to do, but Brian, like you just put in hard work and just kept at it, right? Like between your social media, doing your own thing with the weddings and all that stuff, you just kept at it, not expecting a whole ton, but then this opportunity sort of kind of, and I don't want to say it falls in your lap, because you did do the work to get to it, but any advice that you could throw out there to anybody that's listening, that's you know, maybe that's their goal. Their goal is to be the camera guy for a crew and travel around, you know, North America chasing birds. Do you have any advice for those guys or girls?
I mean, well, yeah, for as far as like making a living at it, it's just like the, you know, hunting community. It's like, you know, there's a lot of people that have these different roles in the hunting community or like the industry itself, but most of them have full-time jobs still. Like I still have a full-time job. I run this thing on the side, and but yes, I do put a ton of work into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that I have a great support system at home that can just, you know, I can take off and do what, you know, this kind of stuff and not have to really worry about anything at home. So that's a huge thing too. I mean, it'd definitely be something for like a single person that would be able to, like, you know, at the drop of a hat, you know, show up anywhere and really not worry about what the pay is.
Right.
I'd say as much as you need to be, you know, good at handling a camera, taking photos, taking pictures, you have to be personable and you have to know how to network, because if I hadn't tried any of this networking, you know, I wouldn't have, I don't know what Shawn's doing right now, but if I wouldn't have networked at all, you know, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. I mean, it was,
right.
For me, it was, you know, I had gotten in touch with Greg, who got me in touch with you guys. And then I came on the show. You introduced me to Shawn, Corey, and Eric. Eric comes on my show, and then after the show, he's like, you know, Shawn's always looking for people to film. Do you have any interest? And it's like, absolutely. And then 2 days later, I get a call from Shawn. So it's like, it's a huge networking thing, and, you know, trying to get yourself in front of the right people. But you also can't show up, and I can't show up and ask Shawn how to use my camera because he's going to kick me out right away.
Right.
So I also have to put in work behind the scenes and, you know, understand, you know, what it is that they're looking for and know how to capture what he wants. So, you know, it's still, you know, it was a learning experience for me because it's just different than what I'm used to. But, you know, once, you know, it's just all started to fall into place, and I started to understand what it was that he wanted and how to, you know, use my camera effectively to get the stuff that he wanted.
Shawn, the rest of your crew, are they all in Michigan with you, or are you all scattered all over the U.S.?
We're scattered all over. Boy, you should see it when we get pulled over by the wardens. How do you know him? How do you know him?
So logistically,
he's Missouri, and this guy's from where? Ohio. Yeah. How do you know? Oh,
so logistically, like not only like that's got to be like herding cats. Like logistically, you are scattered all over.
But that's part of my job around really. It's kind of herding cats, because sometimes, like, when you got Tyson and you got Phil and you got Massey together, I call them my Jake pack, because they're like three Jakes.
Yeah.
You know, turkey hunting, you know, one Jake, he's not really a problem. He comes out of the tree, he stays away from the gobblers. Two of them, they might cause a little ruckus, but three of them together, they come out of the tree and they hit the ground and they puff up and they hear noise and they run over there and they run, chasing women around, they're chasing turkeys around, hens around, running around, boom, you know, starting fights and doing all this stuff and goofing around and hopping over logs. And, you know, and next thing you know, at the end of the night, they're like, where the hell are we? And somehow or another, they wake up in that tree that they went to sleep in the night before. But my job is to keep them guys between the mustard and the mayo pointed in the right direction.
Yeah. Herding cats.
Yeah, herding cats. That's them. But, you know, back to what he was saying, you know, it isn't faking it till you make it in this sport. You got to know what you're doing. You got to hustle and you got to work hard. And I've said this my whole life, is you got to keep up with the times, and the times will pass you by. You know, you got to keep up with the latest social media trends, the latest crazes, the latest equipment, you know, any kind of trends in hunting and all that. You got to keep up on that, because if you don't,
it'll pass you by. It'll pass you by.
You're only as old as you let yourself be. You know, you can be old in this game and still play. In fact, you know, you can use your wisdom to get you further along than some of the, you know, younger people do as you get older. You know, try to figure out where where to put the hammer down. Don't blow a gasket on them hunts like we had in Minnesota. It's just not going to happen. Save your energy, save your effort. Make make hay where the sun's shining when you're there, and get what you can get.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. It's like, it makes sense to me, and I think maybe I'm a little bit jaded just because I talk to you guys often enough that I get a pretty good idea of how this all works, right? I don't have the 100% solution, but I've got a pretty good idea. But for people that are wondering, and we've said this on the show before, and Brian, you talked about networking and stuff like that. Like this waterfowl world, like North America, like it's a small world. Like there's not like everybody knows everybody. And that's the thing. And you got to be personal. You got to be able to talk. You got to be able to interact with people. You can't be puffing up your chest like Massey all the time. And you know what I mean? But and I say that with a joke.
He's no bug. He don't bite.
I'm making fun of Eric, but no, but I think for anybody that's listening, I fear sometimes that people are like, oh yeah, this is what they say, but this isn't exactly the way it is. Like they're downplaying it and all that. But no, like this is it. Like it's not easy. It is hard work.
And you're right. Everybody knows everybody. And if you're going to be an asshole, if you're going to be a dick, you're going to burn bridges, and people aren't going to. They're not going to let you build one back.
Yeah.
And you got to get along, and that's one of the other big fallacies. People go to shows and they see you with so and so from another call maker, so and so from another decoy maker. You're talking, and you're like, people are looking like, you talk to them? Like, yeah, we're friends. Like we've known each other for 20 years. Like, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we talk?
Yeah, exactly. Why? Yeah, and I guess because it's impressive when you sort of kind of. First, when we started the show, right? Like you say, you're talking to Dave Roy here in St. Lawrence. You're talking to Luke Scherters up in Wingfeather. You're talking to fellas out in Minnesota. And you're like, you got to have that network of people that you can call and get some information from and recon or recce or whatever you want to call it. But if you're an asshole and people don't like you and you've got to do this all on your own, blind,
good luck.
Yeah, good fucking luck, I'd say. Because you've even talked about it on this show before, Shawn. Like the families up in Saskatchewan, like they're friends of you. Like you talk to them often.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is the thing. Like if you think you're too big or you're a big deal or whatever, I don't know. I think you're fighting a losing battle if you think you're above people. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I got to pour a drink. So, are you done now, Brian? Like, are you no more trips for you this fall?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be on anything else this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we'll get some.
Okay, cool. Fine.
You're the one that hasn't said anything.
No, I said cool. Maybe we can do something here around Christmas time or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if we do something local, we were talking about possibly doing something either down this way, while our season's
within
still
about
in
6-7 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what Shawn needs. We'll see how this Oklahoma trip goes and see how if down south what happens, and if we need to get something after that and he needs me, I'll go.
Yeah.
But if not, we'll see what happens next year. And if he wants me to come on some more trips, I already told him I'm in. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And Shawn, so you're going to head over to North Dakota, start working your way down south. How long is this trip going to be? Is this going to be a week-long trip for you? God knows.
Yeah. You sound like my wife.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Well,
What do you have to say that for?
I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I could go down that way. I could end up in Arkansas and stop at the shop and work for a week. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open ended on this one because I'm traveling alone.
Okay.
On this, well, we're meeting up, but I'm running this leg on my own, so I'm kind of open ended on the backside. So I don't know. Could be anywhere.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to theoretically want to be gone. I try not to be gone more than about 10 days.
Right.
Just stay married and come home to a home.
Yeah.
My wife's wonderful. I got to give her a shout. She puts up with a lot. I mess with her a little bit, but no, it's all good. So I try to keep it, 10, 11 days. Sometimes I've been gone up to about 20, 21 days before. That's a little rough, but yeah.
That's a long time. That's a long time. I wouldn't be able to do, I'd say probably 10, 11 days. That'd probably be my max that I'm away from home. Then I just want to be home.
It's just a lot of different beds, sleeping in, worrying and thinking. And I don't sleep opening night anywhere. And I say opening night, that's first night on a trip somewhere or whatever. I'll lay awake thinking, okay, what about this scenario? What about this? What do we got to do here?
Yeah.
Do I have everything in the trailer? Do I need to pick up this in the morning? Do I need to, do I need to tell Phil where this is? Do I need, this? I just run all these scenarios. I'll make a list. I got the notes app on my phone, and I make notes on there. And okay, what do I need to cover on film tomorrow? And do all that stuff. So by the time I get home, I basically will hibernate for about 24 to 36 hours. Just hibernate. Maybe get up to go to the bathroom, but that's about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not all sunshine and rainbows, eh?
No, I mean, it is. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No,
but, when we're on the road, it's go, go, go from, from 4:30 in the morning when you get up. Well, if you're staying with Phil and he's in the room, you might get up at 2, then at 3, then at 4, and then he's like, all right, we got to get up, boys. And you still don't have to get up for another hour, but you still got to get up at 4. But you do all that, and you hunt, you eat lunch, you scout, clean birds, scout again, and then have dinner, and then go to bed at like 9, 10 o'clock at night and rinse, repeat. And you do that. And it makes for a long, you get pretty run down towards the end of it.
I bet. Shawn, have you ever ran the idea of like just not hitting the road in the fall and just opening up your own outfit and just guiding and just doing your own thing? No.
No. I have plenty of friends that are outfitters.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. For me and my personality, I'm not cut out for it. I want to hunt with who I want to hunt with, when I want to hunt with them, where I want to hunt with them. I don't want to have to hunt with somebody because I'm getting paid to hunt with them.
Right.
And most of the times they're, some of these established outfitters like Luke, like Davey, they start weeding customers out and they got the ones coming back that they want.
Yeah.
They don't. Because some of the times you're taking people out that, man, in a normal day, they probably wouldn't even talk to you, just two totally opposite worlds. And
right.
And one thing that Brian may have picked up on is I cannot stand it when you call birds into the decoys and they don't get shot. I come unglued when that happens because I did my job.
Yeah.
Do your job, and that's part of that's part of, I don't care so much for the file and the limit.
No.
I want to win and I don't want to lose.
Right.
And when you call one in, he gets out, you lost, man. You lost. So I see some of the videos that Luke sends and it's like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? Like poor Brandon. I mean, Brandon's so good though. He's so Brandon Wood. He's so good. He guides for him. He's so mellow, so level-headed. All right, guys, maybe next time. All right, guys, try a little harder.
Yeah.
Me, I'd probably be throwing stuff. Yeah, I would be good around customers. So
yeah,
I'm where I need to be.
I get you. I wouldn't be able to do it because I just wouldn't be able to. I could deal
And it's
with
the
most.
pressure, I mean, there's pressure on us to produce too, but
Yeah,
we go in stints. Like you got somebody like Luke or Davey, and they're doing this for 100 some days in a row. Like
yeah,
every day, every day, every day. It's just constant.
yeah. And for every 5 good crews you have one crew that they're just assholes, right? And
Yeah.
that's the ones that I couldn't deal. I just wouldn't be able to deal with assholes.
And if you're not dealing with assholes, you're dealing with Mother Nature and politics. Politics is determine the season dates and lengths and bag limits, and then politics or Mother Nature on what she's throwing at you. I mean, you get sunny and 60-degree weather in the first part of October and no wind. I mean, where are you going to hunt?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Brian, what have you got coming up now for the next little bit, buddy? Are you just digging in for your real-time job?
I mean, yeah, I still got a lot of vacation time, so I've got some days like I've got enough.
Oh, you do you?
Saving them for you to come down here. And so I mean, I'm taking half days here and there and getting my hunting in. I from opening day here until last weekend, I hadn't been home for a weekend in like 6 or 7 weeks. So it was
wow.
I've lost out on a good bit of my season. So it's like and it's not that bad because the weather's been so awful that we haven't really had the big push yet. So I'm hoping that tomorrow and Thursday I can get on some good birds and then just kind of trickle this season out and get out as much as I can. It's just I got young kids too, so it's being home, trying to help out where I can. So
yeah, of course, buddy.
Yeah, got that, and just trying to make some videos, take some pictures, and that's about it.
Awesome. Well, boys, we're almost at that 60-minute mark, so I think we can call it there.
Yeah, and Brian, I think I'll send you waders back now.
Okay, thank you.
What
keep watching. Keep watching for the brown truck. Your waders will be back.
Said he'll send my waders back.
Oh, yeah. You might need them. You might need them here real soon.
I told him I had a few pairs and he could just hold on to them until I see him.
Well, and there's always a reason that you got to go see them too, right?
I gotta keep something with him. So
that's right. That's
3-hour tour. That's all it takes. 3-hour tour.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Boys, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming on. You both of you are always so good. Whenever I reach out to you and ask you if you want to come on, you're always, let's just make sure that our schedules work, and you're always awesome to me that way. So I appreciate it so much. We'll do quick around the table and then we'll end this, boys. So Brian, to you first, my man.
Oh, thanks for having us back on. We're trying to catch up to these high guest count like Jeff Coates and Craig. So we'll keep coming back on so we can try and pass.
You guys are getting there now. You guys, I think Bodie is now. This got to be like 4 times for both of you now, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Close. Got to be close.
Yeah.
Got to be close.
No, thanks for having me on. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, and I want to give Shawn a thanks as well for having me come on his crew and let me travel around the country with him.
I'd love to have been a fucking fly on the wall for a few of those hunts. I can guarantee you that. Shawn, to you, my man.
I'm good, man. I'm ready to go up and watch some hockey. I think the Hawks are playing. So.
Leafs are playing Florida right now, and they're probably going to get their ass handed to them. But I know so much talent and in their shit. But at least they're not the Oilers.
The eyes are playing.
What's that?
The eyes are playing.
Yeah. The eyes are playing. We need it. We need it bad. Boys, again, thanks so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 167 of the Union 0430. Please remember to subscribe, like, check the boys out. Check out Shawn Stahl. Check out Brian Ellithorpe. Send them some love. As always, just a crew of dudes that love one another's company and chatting about birds. We will never pretend to be experts. Big love. Talk to you next time. Ciao. Can't find my mouse.